Franklin D. Roosevelt, 32nd President of the United States, is a butterfly. Bethany Hamilton, the 13-year-old girl who got her arm bitten off by a shark, is a butterfly. And Stephen King, the best-selling author, is a butterfly. Now, last week, during our meeting, we had a table topics where we were given a unique challenge. The table topics master told us that there were 2 spots left on Noah's Ark. And she proceeded to give us some very strange and interesting animals. We had to convince the room why those animals belonged on the Ark. And Sabash was given the butterfly. And he mentioned during it that, butterflies come from caterpillars and they turn into butterflies. And it kind of took me back to middle school when I was studying, science and biology. And, I think as adults, we all know that caterpillars turn into butterflies. But I also think that we forget what an amazing transformation it really is. I'm going to kind of walk you through it to remind you. So when the caterpillar is ready to become a butterfly, first it goes out and it finds a nice branch on a tree, kind of secluded, and it attaches itself to this branch, but he actually does it upside down so that he's hanging. And at this point, his feet and antennas are no longer needed, so they just dry up and wither away. And inside his skin, he forms a new shell called a chrysalis. And once he has this new shell, he doesn't need the old one anymore. So the caterpillar starts pushing his body down and pulling the outer old skin up. And at first it's really tight, and then right at the bottom it rips, and it just starts coming up his body. And he keeps moving around, moving his body to where the skin just keeps coming up and up and up and higher and higher. And it finally gets all the way to the top and reveals this beautiful green outer shell. Now, you have the branch, and you have this dead skin kind of hanging around, and that's no good. So he starts gyrating around, breaking the roots of that skin until finally it flutters away. And this is a very dangerous part for the caterpillar because if he does it too much, he could actually fall to the ground where he would likely be eaten by predators. Now, a lot has happened, but the most amazing part is what's going to happen inside that shell. So follow me here. The new butterfly cells start to appear, but the old caterpillar immune system doesn't recognize them and it starts attacking them. And the butterfly cells just keep coming, and the immune system keeps fighting away until finally the butterfly cells overwhelm the immune system. And at that point, the whole caterpillar it dissolves into a big soup of cells. And then it reforms into the body of the butterfly. It's amazing. 2 weeks later, the butterfly is ready to spread its wings and fly. Now, it reminds me of another little story I heard. There was a little girl. She was in her backyard and she was kind of watching this progress go. And towards the end, she was watching one day as the butterfly was having a lot of trouble breaking through the shell. It was struggling really, really hard for hours. And it made this little girl cry because she was so sad for this little animal. So the little girl ran back into her house and came back with a little pair of scissors. And she went up to that shell and she cut it open so that the butterfly could fly away. But that's not what happened. Instead, the butterfly actually fell to the ground and slowly died. You see, that fight, that battle to break through the shell is what actually strengthens the wings and the muscles so that when it finally does break through on its own, it's strong enough to fly away. Now, us humans, we also go through transformations in our life. Franklin D. Roosevelt, at the age of 39, he was diagnosed with polio. He was paralyzed from the waist down, and he was confined to a wheelchair. And he went on to be the President of the United States and served 4 terms. Bethany Hamilton got her arm bitten off by a shark. She was back in the water on a surfboard 30 days later. And Stephen King, he has sold 350 million books, yet his first book was rejected 30 times. And the only reason he didn't give up was from the encouragement of his wife. So, the good news, or maybe the bad news, is that us, as humans, we're going to go through lots of transformations in our life. Not just one, like the the caterpillar to the butterfly, but we're going to go through multiple. And the next time you find yourself where life is a little tough, maybe you feel like everything's going against you, you're swimming upstream, I want you to think about that caterpillar. I want you to think about that butterfly. And remember, as you are working really, really hard to break through that shell, that when you do, you will be able to fly like the butterfly that you are. Thank you.